What are the points of interest that we get for you today? First up, of course, is a story about a honey trap scandal, and it is being discussed not on the streets, not on the internet, but inside the Karnataka Assembly. Imagine, today we are being told that over 45 people have been honey trapped in Karnataka, that some judges, some central ministers could also be victims. Can we really trust for the truth to come out? Because this is not just about sleaze, it is about how people in positions of power could have fallen victim. We also tell you about another scandal that is echoing in the corridors of power of Delhi. The second senior most judge in the Delhi High Court had wads of cash discovered in his house, and that too purely by chance. Will he get away purely by being transferred, or will we see justice being done there as well? And we will talk about our favorite topic. Very periodically, you will see these rankings, these global rankings come up. The latest one is a happiness ranking, and apparently people in Ukraine and in Palestine are happier than all of us here in India. How was that made possible? We'll try and solve that mystery as well. But first up, the big story from Karnataka. Because this is a case unlike what we have seen in recent memory. It has been admitted inside the Karnataka Assembly by a sitting minister that 48 people have fallen victim to a honey trap. That's right, 48 people. And among those honey trap people are MLAs, ministers, central leaders, and even judges. This was the claim made by a minister, Karnataka Cooperation Minister K. Rajanna, who said yesterday inside the Karnataka Assembly that there are 48 CDs of honey trap politicians and people in positions of power floating around. Rajanna's confirmation comes close on the heels of claims made by BJP leader Basangowda Yatnal that a Congress leader was trying to honey trap his opponents within his own political party in order to grab power. Rajanna's claims were echoed by another minister in the Siddaramaiah government, Satish Jarkiholi. What's even more disturbing is that Jarkiholi said that honey trapping is nothing new at all. This has been happening in Karnataka for the past 20 years.
ಈ ರೀತಿಯ ಅಶ್ಲೀಲ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಏನು ಪೆನ್ ಡ್ರೈವ್ಗಳನ್ನ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ತಯಾರಿಸತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಆ 48 ಸರಿಸುಮಾರು 48 ಇನ್ನು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಇನ್ನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರಬಹುದು. ಆದರೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಪಕ್ಷದ ಮುಖಂಡರುಗಳದ್ದು ಮತ್ತೆ ಇತರೆ ನಾಯಕರುಗಳದ್ದು ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದಾವೆ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಯವರು ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಈ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಆ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಅಂತ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ನಾಯಕರುಗಳು ಯಾರಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಗೂ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟ ಆ ನಾಯಕರುಗಳ ಪೆನ್ ಡ್ರೈವ್ಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದನ್ನ ಮಾಹಿತಿಯನ್ನ ನಾನು ಪ್ರಸ್ತಾಪ ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ಅವರು ಕೂಡ ಪ್ರಸ್ತಾಪ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಆ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಸರ್ಕಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಗೃಹ ಸಚಿವರ ಗಮನಕ್ಕೆ ತಂದು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಒತ್ತಾಯವನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಈ ರೀತಿಯ ತೇಜೋವಧೆ ಮಾಡತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಶೋಭೆ ತರೋಂತ ನಾನ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ಲಿ, ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ರು ಮಾಡಿರ್ಲಿ, ಯಾರೇ ಮಾಡಿರ್ಲಿ, ಯಾವುದೇ ಪಕ್ಷದವರು ಮಾಡಿರ್ಲಿ, ಆ ರೀತಿಯ ತೇಜೋವಧೆ ಮಾಡತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು, ಬ್ಲಾಕ್ ಮೇಲ್ ಮಾಡತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆಗಳೇನಿದ್ದಾವೆ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ್ಯ ಆಗಬೇಕು.
ये पहली बार नहीं है कर्नाटक में, 20 साल से हो रहा है. हर पार्टी का इसका विक्टिम है. बीजेपी, जेडीएस, कांग्रेस, ऑफिशियल्स, सीनियर पॉलिटिशियन सब लोग इसके विक्टिम है. इसके लिए हमने मांग किया, इसका एक कंप्लीट होना चाहिए, उसके आधार पे जांच होना चाहिए. कोशिश की है, 2 बार तो अटेम्प्ट किया है मगर कामयाब नहीं हुआ है. उसके बारे में हमने भी डिस्कशन किया है. जो विक्टिम है वो उसको हमने बोल लिया है कंप्लीट इलाज करो, उसके बारे में उसका जांच हो जाएंगे तभी उसका बाहर आएगी क्या इसका पीछे कौन है. नहीं हो गया, कल ही बात हो गया है, उनका भी कुछ सुझाव है तो देखेंगे. कंप्लीट होना चाहिए पहले, उसके बाद जांच होनी.
So from last 6 months, it is going around with me and with my father. So we thought it is a normal phone call or video call, but it has been getting day by day, it is getting more and more for me and to my father. So let's see. Today it's spoken in assembly, and he has instigated Home Minister to investigate about this thing. So let's see what will happen.
The rumblings over this alleged scandal were heard in the Vidhan Soudha today as well. BJP protested, alleging a massive conspiracy, demanded the resignation of the Chief Minister. BJP leaders Basangowda Yatnal and V. Sunil Kumar alleged that this conspiracy was masterminded by a senior Congress leader as a consequence of the ongoing power tussle within the state unit of the party. BJP MLAs then stormed into the well of the house. They were seen waving CDs as a symbolic evidence of blackmail and coercion. Now the BJP has demanded a judicial inquiry as well as a CBI probe.
When senior ministers Satish Jarkioli as well as Rajanna, who himself seems to be a victim of Honeytrap, has disclosed the issue on the floor of the House, and he also demanded Honorable Home Minister Parmeshwar, he has demanded to Honorable Home Minister to take up this matter very seriously, and proper investigation needs to be carried out. This is a demand made by the concerned minister, who is a victim of the honey trap, that is Rajanna.
Satish Jarkioli, one of the senior most leader, he is one of the prominent minister. उन्हें स्टेटमेंट दिया है तो सच रहता है. कौन है, कौन कर रहा है, हनी ट्रैपिंग का किंग पिन कौन है, इन्वेस्टमेंट कौन कर रहा है, उसका जांच होना चाहिए. आरोप किया हुआ आम आदमी नहीं है, पत्रकार आरोप किया नहीं, आम आदमी आरोप किया नहीं.
राजन्ना जी का जो एक हनी ट्रैप हो गया ना, उसके बारे में वो सीबीआई को ये प्रकरण को सौंप देना चाहिए, क्योंकि ये पूरा उन्होंने बताया है. 48 पॉलिटिशियन और जजेस का सीडी है करके, ये तो बहुत सीरियस. और केंद्र के अनेक वरिष्ठ नेता का भी उसमें सीडी में शामिल है. इसलिए सीबीआई से इनकार हो जाए तो एक न्याय मिलेगा, नहीं तो एक बहुत बुरा एक संप्रदाय कर्नाटक में ऐसा सीडी करने वाले जो पार्टी का जो व्यक्ति है उसको सजा मिलना चाहिए.
The BJP, while alleging moral turpitude, you would have noticed, has refrained from taking any names. But when they speak of the honey trap as a result of an internal power struggle in the Congress, what are they really insinuating? If you would remember, the Congress came to power in Karnataka after a big win in 2023, but instantly faced a challenge of who would be Chief Minister. The contest was between Siddaramaiah and DK Shivkumar. Eventually, Siddaramaiah, with his Ahinda voter base, was the pick. In a bid to assuage DK Shivkumar, the party's vocaliga face and the one credited with restructuring the party, the sharing formula was informally agreed upon. As per this formula, Siddaramaiah was to step down after 2.5 years and hand over the reins to his deputy DK Shivkumar. This term of 2.5 years is to end in November 2025. As this deadline draws close, the Karnataka Congress unit is a divided house. There are supporters of Siddaramaiah as well, and they both are at odds with each other. The factionalism is out in the open. The most recent proof of this was seen after Satish Jarkioli, a Siddaramaiah loyalist, hosted a dinner party meet on the eve of New Year. Several of the key party leaders were invited, but guess who was missing? DK Shivkumar. Of course, both factions went red in the face, saying there were no political undertones to this meeting. But soon enough, a diktat came from the party high command, asking leaders to refrain from having any such meetings, New Year's Eve or otherwise. What's more is that this diktat came just days after DK had a meeting with Congress's Karnataka in charge, Randeep Singh Surjewala. Another point of contention which was out in the open between the two leaders was the caste survey report. Siddaramaiah has several times talked of tabling the report, but it is yet to see the light of day. A few months ago, after an announcement had been made that the report would be made public, it was nipped in the bud thanks to DK Shivkumar's pressure. Look, the point is that these political maneuverings, these struggles can continue. Good luck to whoever wants to be the next Chief Minister, or if Siddaramaiah was to continue. But This case is not about sleaze or scandal or some nudge-nudge wink-wink CD. Because remember, here a minister has admitted to being a victim of a honey trap. He's talking about his political colleagues, judges, ministers also being targeted. And these are all people who are powerful. They are privy to sensitive information. That's the reason that they are administered an oath of secrecy. But if these people are being honey trapped, if they are victims of blackmail, it doesn't just stop at a power struggle. It doesn't just stop at who will be the next chief minister or who will get a ministerial berth. What if tomorrow such people are also honey trapped and blackmailed into revealing state secrets? And that's the reason why it shouldn't just stop at this finger pointing and waving of CDs in the assembly. What we need is an investigation, names and results. And speaking of an investigation, what a story broke today morning. On the 14th of March, when the country was winding down after celebrating Holi, something happened in Lutyens, Delhi, whose echo is still being heard and will be heard far and wide for the next few months as well. On the night of Holi, a fire broke out in the residence of Delhi High Court Judge Justice Yashwant Verma. While the judge himself wasn't home at the time, his family called in the fire brigade and police, but the real fire was lit after the flames had been doused. Because once the smoke cleared, the first responders found a huge pile of cash in one of the rooms in the judge's house. They took pictures and videos of the incriminating evidence and reportedly shared it with their seniors. In the meantime, the higher-ups in the government came to know about the sensational development. This information was passed on to the Chief Justice of India. Interestingly though, despite all of this being reported, the diary entry at the Tughlaq Road police station hasn't made any mention of a financial recovery. Be that as it may, the crucial part is to note what happened next. Mind you, for a week since Holi, this news didn't really surface anywhere, and when it did, it has resulted in a cocktail of confusion and outrage. On Friday morning, the story broke that after the fire and cash recovery, the Supreme Court Collegium, led by Chief Justice of India, Sanjeev Khanna, had decided to transfer Justice Verma to his parent High Court in Allahabad. This then led to a massive uproar. Civil society members, jurists, even politicians asked why someone who was found in possession of such cash was being let off with just a slap on the wrist or transfer. Why not an investigation? Why not action? In a strongly worded letter, and this is the interesting development, when we were told that he would be sent to Allahabad, the Allahabad High Court Bar Association opposed this repatriation. They said, we are not a trash bin. Eventually, after all of this had happened, the Supreme Court on Friday evening had to clarify that the Chief Justice of Delhi High Court had already commenced an in-house inquiry even before the collegium met on Thursday, on the 20th of March. Now, that report is due on Friday evening and further action will be taken based on it. Pending that inquiry, Justice Verma has been transferred only so that the probe is not hampered. In fact, announcement of his transfer has been made because the destination of this transfer itself is not final. The ultimate call on it will be taken after considering the responses that have been sought from Justice Verma, from the Chief Justice of Delhi and from the Chief Justice of the Allahabad High Court. Now, before the clarification, the issue echoed from Parliament to the Supreme Court. Various benches of the top court did not sit until late this morning. The collegium benches, which are headed by the 5 senior-most judges of the Supreme Court, sat only at 11:45, 45 minutes past the usual time. At the Delhi High Court, Justice Verma's staff revealed that he had gone on leave. This issue was raised before the Chief Justice of Delhi High Court as well. A senior member of the bar, Advocate Arun Bhardwaj, said that the incident has shocked and pained members of the bar and some administrative steps must be taken to ensure that such incidents don't reoccur in the future.
This morning we have read about a shocking case of huge amounts of cash unearthed at the residence of a judge of the Delhi High Court. You yourself have repeatedly called into question the urgency for judicial accountability. You have in fact directed the Leader of the House on this issue. Sir, I request that you please make some observations on this and give necessary directions to the government to come up with a proposal for increasing judicial accountability.
Is that the incident happened and did not immediately surface. If it happens with a politician, he becomes a target, a bureaucrat, an industrialist immediately. And therefore, systemic response, which is transparent, accountable, effective, I am sure will be on the way. I will get in touch with Leader of the House and Leader of the Opposition.
Of corruption within the judiciary is a very serious issue, and this is not something that has been articulated by senior counsel and lawyers in this country for the first time. It's been going on for years, and public statements have been made. So I think that it's time for the Supreme Court to start looking at issues of how the appointment process should take place, that it should be more transparent, appointments should be more carefully done. Corruption is a serious issue, not just within the judiciary, but in society. At large, corruption is a serious issue amongst public functionaries. And corruption has, despite whatever our dear Prime Minister has said, has increased.
Judges are expected to be in a, expect a lot of people's trust is there in the functioning of the judiciary. And if this kind of cash is discovered in the residence of a judge, either this is a matter which is almost a week old now, so probably there is no explanation forthcoming from the judge. And if there is no explanation forthcoming, then this has to be taken very seriously. And in my view, transferring is not a solution. Because transferring, if he starts, if he's doing this kind of a thing and if he goes and does it in his parent high court, that really is not a solution.
Justice Verma is now on leave, but when and how will action be taken? Can action be taken at all by the collegium? Now, first, after the completion of an in-house inquiry, if the Chief Justice of India feels the offence is proven, he can ask Justice Verma to resign. If the judge refuses, the CJI can then write to the government to initiate the removal process in Parliament. Within Parliament, the process starts with at least 100 members of the Lok Sabha or 50 Rajya Sabha members giving a signed notice to the Speaker or Chairman. Once the motion is admitted, the head of the House, that's the Speaker or the Chairman, has to constitute a 3-member probe committee. Ultimately, the report that this committee produces is put before Parliament. It is produced before Parliament and they need to vote on it. Even inside Parliament, this report needs to pass by a 2/3 majority and by 50% of the total membership of both the houses. It must be mentioned that so far no judge has been successfully impeached in our country, even though 6 such attempts have been made. Now the spotlight is squarely on Justice Verma and on the Chief Justice of India. Justice Verma is the second senior most judge of the Delhi High Court and assumed judgeship in 2014. Before that, he held the position of the Chief Standing Counsel for the Uttar Pradesh government between 2012 and 2013. During his legal career at the Allahabad High Court, Justice Verma specialized in constitutional law, labor and industrial legislations, corporate laws and taxation. But the biggest question today is, what happens to him? Given now that there are damning details, money was recovered from his house, how there has been no explanation offered so far for this cash recovery, definitely there is an adverse public perception. There is outrage. Will Justice Verma step down himself pending inquiry, or will the Parliament ultimately decide his fate? And more importantly, what happens in the interim? Will he really get to adjudicate cases in whichever court he is transferred to? Will that be justice, my lord? And now let's talk about the indices. Every now and then you have got some ease of doing business index, you've got some other indices. It's quite seasonal. You also have corruption perception index, but today we are focusing on the gold standard, the global happiness index, and no prizes for guessing. As always, India is in the bottom pile. But there is reason to cheer because we have moved up 5 places from 123rd to the 118th position, which means 3 cheers, we are above Chad and Somalia. Now, there are some countries that have consistently beaten us in the happiness index. Our very own neighbor Pakistan, a country known for sedate chaos and a proclivity for homegrown terror. Iraq, a country that is enjoying the fruits of insurgency and civil war. And then you have South Africa, a country where your pocket will be picked faster than you can say Johannesburg. Other countries happier than us include Venezuela, a country that went from being the richest in Latin America to a basket case where its citizens are fleeing by the day. I guess it means the Venezuelans are positive and happy because they hope to leave Venezuela pretty soon. So the question is, who exactly did the people at Gallup poll? Who did they speak to? Did they speak to the terrorists? Did they speak to the insurgents? Did they speak to the pickpocketers? Did they speak to the corrupt officials to compile this Hall of Fame ranking on happiness? Because it's only these bunch of peoples who will be very pleased with the prevalent conditions in their country. Or just to tweak Michael Jackson's hit song, they made it a better place for you and me. Speaking of a better place, we have picked out an index of the top 5 countries which are above us in the happiness ratings. We look at these countries and we tell you why Gallup has decided to place them there. First up is Palestine. Palestine is at 108th spot, 10 rankings ahead of us. They're being bombed to the point where they could soon be extinct. Nearly 50,000 people killed. But we still managed to be unhappy without having any of that death and destruction being rained on us. Talking of war-torn countries, next is Ukraine, which ranks at 111, well above India. In spite of the mayhem there, it's been 3 years since Russia's February 2022 invasion of Ukraine. 6.8 million people have fled the country. 14.6 million people there need humanitarian assistance. I guess some people find happiness even in that chaos. Let's go right to the top of the rankings, where Sweden sits at the 4th position. Surely they have all the reasons to be happy, but here's the thing. Several Nordic countries are known to be grappling with a severe mental health crisis. In these countries, including Norway, antidepressant consumption has more than doubled in the last 20 years. The average antidepressant consumption across 18 European countries was 30.5 defined daily dose per 1,000 people per day. In Sweden, this number stood at 105. So, are they really happy or are they happy high? Israel in this ranking is at number 8, which suggests that despite the pogrom that they endured just a year and a half ago, somehow they have still managed to salvage their happiness quotient. And rounding up, our top 5 pick is Mexico, a country that is the route for all drug exports from South America into the USA, a country where the drug militia challenges the government of the day. Mexico has underperformed in terms of growth, inclusion, poverty reduction compared to similar countries, but hey, they are still in the top 10. Maybe that's why Trump looked at the happy Mexicans and decided to pull them down a notch by slapping tariffs. Let's do this happiness index all over again after the 2nd of April. So how happy are everyone, or how hollow is this happiness? That remains the key question. That's it then on this edition of In Your Interest. Thanks very much for having tuned in. I'll see you again at the same time on Monday. Keep the appointment.
2.5 lakh strong legacy and counting. Join the big league with the XUV 700 with celebratory offers up to rupees 75,000.
What does it take to be the greatest in the world? There is one thing which truly sets you apart. Your inner strength.
Soudha TNT Reebok, true inner strength. close to 600 million out of the 1.4 billion in our country who are under the age of 25, and 65% of our population is under 35.
We all